Welcome to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where we're outside the Chrysler Center, but we'll get you inside for a top 15 Big Ten women's gymnastics matchup. Michigan at home, number 10 in the country. Michigan State, number 15. And good afternoon, everyone. Alongside Olivia Karras, I'm Dean Linke. Great to be back with you. And you think Michigan State, you think a natural rivalry, but really in 2023, Michigan State made it real.
And these teams are stacked with veterans and also rookies. And so since 2023, we've seen a lot of the same names. Michigan came out hot this year at the beginning of the season. There's a redemption tour for the Michigan State Spartans. So lots on the line for both teams. They want the win, and they want a great score.
All right, Olivia, let's get rolling and see who you have your eye on for the Michigan State Spartans.
Well, two all-arounders today. Nikki Smith, a namesay in these Michigan State lineups, and Kayla Tucker, the junior, making her debut in the all-around this season. They both need to be on today for the Spartans. And Olivia Zarmani, she's been a question mark for the Spartans so far this year, recovering from some back pain, but she's back on balance beam today, as well as vault and uneven bars. Excited to see her season debut.
And what about the home team, the Michigan Wolverines?
We know the name Carly Bauman very well. 6th year, the steady Eddie, solid veteran leader is back, and she's most certainly a critical competitor for the Wolverines. Sophia Diaz comes off a meet with 3 9.9s. Talk about consistency. She had such a successful campaign last year as a freshman, and she's continuing on that path as a sophomore. And speaking of freshmen, Quincy Walters, the rookie, starting off her career with a 9.95 on balance beam in the first meet of the season. She needs to shine for the Wolverines for them to have a great day.
Of course, the Michigan Wolverines now led by Miliana Kaneva-Hermelin. We call her Miley in her first season, replacing the legend that is Bev Plotke. 7th overall with the Wolverines, so very familiar with all of these athletes, including the new ones that are now wearing the maize and blue. And Mike Rowe, 3-time Big Ten Coach of the Year, 9th season overall, truly putting Michigan State on the map. A special story indeed. As you see, he won it 22, 23, and 24. Delighted to be with you for Big Ten Women's Gymnastics as we take a look at the national rankings. Check that out as you see Michigan top 20, including 2 top 10s, and Michigan State, they're top 20 in everything but the bars.
And bars is where they're starting. They want a great start on that event. Nia Howard leading them off, a critical competitor, a transfer into the program. So Michigan State has an opportunity to really get their confidence rolling off the bat. The Wolverines on vault, they're looking for those stuck landings and minimizing deductions. Here's the best place to start that off.
Wonderful crowd here at Chrysler Center. Peyton Davis from Westchester, PA, with a 9.85 career high. We'll get things started for Michigan.
Peyton competes a full twisting Yurchenko, a 9.95 start value. Very nice opening vault for the Wolverines. Saw a slight hop backward, which is one of the only deductions I'm seeing. Nice power onto the table. See her pop off, good body position. There's a little pike in her hips, which resulted in the backward movement. So the judges will deduct for that, but otherwise, solid start.
Let's move over to bars, where Nia Howard with a 9.925 at Georgia is her career high. Nia Howard will get things started for Mike Rowe and the Michigan State Spartans.
And Nia really likes this spot in the opening routine. Big release move to start things off. Piked Ray, we call that a church, directly into the shoot over. Good connection, a little legs and loose feet throughout the connection. But let's see if she can grab the stuck landing. And a hop forward, a little under rotated. I saw her chest just forward that resulted in that forward momentum. But a solid start again. Hit routines, that's exactly what you're looking for from these opening athletes. Here's that double tug, good work pointing the toes in the air, and I just saw a hop forward, but happy to see her smiling and leading off the Spartan squad on bars.
Bit of a tilted smile there for their head coach, Mike Rowe. Here's Ava Jordan, She has a career high of 9.875.
Another full twisting Yurchenko here for the Wolverines. Ava consistent on this event. Oh no. And it looks like I gave her announcer curse. I saw her hand slip on the table, which is very uncharacteristic for her. Thankfully, she landed safely. Let's take a look at what happened. Good power there. And there's that right hand slips. She practically vaulted off of one arm, and an unfortunate fall, but really happy to see her make it all the way around and not land in a compromising position.
Coming off a score last week of 9.825. Her score this time around will be lower as we get ready for Michaela Tucker. Last week, 9.0 as you see her career high. Michaela Tucker now next to go on the bars. Remember Mike Rowe, the head coach, this is his specialty, the bars.
Michaela had some problems with this release move last week, but no issues today. Well done with that connection, putting that bail handstand right on top of the bar, exactly what the judges are looking for, and a different dismount than we're used to seeing, a front pike half with a scoot backward and a bow and arrow up into the air. Well done for Kayla. Of course, they want a hit routine, but after a miss last week, this was a personal routine for her. Great work getting the chest up at the end. And I love to see a smiling Kayla Tucker. Good for her.
Great shot. As Michigan State coming off a big week, big crowd against UCLA. Now a big crowd here in Ann Arbor. And here's Reina Gugino. She is capable of a 10, her 6th year as a Wolverine.
Here's our first look at a 10.0 start value vault, a Yurchenko 1.5. And a hop forward there for Reina, but that was a critical vault for the Wolverines as we just saw the uncharacteristic miss from Ava Jordan. Reina small but mighty. You see a little bit of soft knees in the air. That's what the judges will deduct for execution, and just the hop forward. But if I want anyone going after a fall, it's Reina Gugino, and she delivers.
Coach Miley was there to greet her as well. As up next will be Nikki Smith, coming off a performance a week ago of 9.725 against the Bruins.
We mentioned Nikki in the open. She competes in the all-around, so very critical competitor, responsible for 4 of the 24 scores. She's had a little bit of an issue with consistency on uneven bars this season. Not there, lovely Maloney right to the pack salto. Excellent control on the half turn. She made sure to stay right on top of the bar. Great handstand. This routine looks stunning. If she can get the dismount, it'd be huge.
Hold it.
She held on to it with her feet. They did not move, but I did see a slight bobble with her chest. The judges could deduct for almost a balance check there, but solid work hanging on with her feet. There we go, nice in the air, up on the toes. Let's discuss toe strength. Yeah. And then settles right into it. Well done for Nikki Smith. That was a big one for her.
Super toes as we move back to Kaylee Boozer, who had a 9.8 last week for the Michigan Wolverines. And you see Reina Gugino with a 9.9, her best score of the season. See, Boozer has already hit a 9.9, 9.8 last week.
And Kaylee is so elegant on vault. Flares it open. That's a scooch. That was not a hop. I call that a little foot adjustment. But the elegance on vault, it's just not something you hear so frequently on the event. You think power and amplitude, and she has that while also remaining elegant. Little bit of a shoulder closure on the table, but just that minute scooch backward. Lovely form in the air. Great work for Kaylee Boozer.
Moving right along as we go back to the bars, it's Lilia Kausman for Michigan State, a 9.85 last week.
Lilia competed the Paris Olympics for Team Romania, so she definitely has some experience under her belt. Beautiful job on that Maloney to Pac Salto connection. Kept her feet together. A little rushed on that handstand. Let's see if she can find the landing. And a hop forward, just not getting these landings perfectly as they want to. Head coach Mike Rowe said that this is a focus for the team. They're just making some nervous mistakes. Here's that final handstand. You see, it's not quite on top of the bar. It's within the 10 degrees, but the judges want that perfect positioning. And the dismount just opens it up. You notice her shoulders a little too forward, which results in the under rotation and the hop, but great work for Lilia.
Meanwhile, for Michigan, Sophia Diaz has had 3 consecutive 9-9s. She won the vault competition against the Hawkeyes. She'll see if she can chase down her career high. Sophia Diaz next to go for the Michigan Wolverines on the vault.
A reminder that there was a miss early in the lineup, so some pressure for the remaining athletes. As another Yurchenko 1.5 here from Sophia. Big height and amplitude, saw that large step forward. The judges can take up to a 10.5 for a step of that size. But she has incredible power on vault. It's just about honing in and finding the perfect position on the landing. Really good job, power onto the board, nice body position, and she just opens up a little late, which results in the forward movement. But that vault is just lovely in the air.
Speaking of lovely, Olivia Zarmani, who you featured in the Open for Michigan State, coming off a 9.85 from Statesville, North Carolina.
Olivia getting back into the lineup a couple weeks ago. Really important competitor for the Spartans. Good job on the connection. That's an excellent half turn right on top of the bar. And speaking of on top of the bar, this handstand work is great. And the dismount, I don't think it was perfectly stuck, but it was pretty dang close. Olivia Zarmani, the stud that she is, hitting for the Spartans on bars. Take a look at that dismount. Really good job knowing when to let go and just the smallest hop forward. So not a perfectly stuck landing yet for the Spartans, but they are minimizing the hops and steps.
Jazara Ranger with a 9.85 last week will be in the anchor spot for the Michigan Wolverines.
And this vault has it all. Height, power, speed. And you notice that forward movement, similar to what we saw from her teammate Diaz right before her. Power and speed is both a blessing and a curse. Actually saw her a little forward on the table, which she didn't get as far off the table. The distance was less than usual. The judges want to see both height and distance, but that was important. She needed to put that on her feet in order for the Wolverines to not count a fall.
You see the 9.9 for Zarmani, making way for Sage Kellerman in the anchor spot for Michigan State.
Sage is very comfortable in this position here. Nice first handstand. Right into the straddle Jaeger. Beautiful job locking out the shoulders right into the handstand. Another great handstand. Sage is dialed in on this routine. And that's a stick. Well done for Sage Kellerman. She is absolutely automatic on this event. So impressive with how precise she is in her handstands. The height of this dismount is otherworldly, and there is a perfect stick. into some jazzy, fun dance
That's the new
moves.
dance now. Trinity Rodman did it with Emma Hayes with the U.S. women's soccer team. That's the new dance.
Okay, Dino, you're so hip. That was great work by Sage, both on the dance and, of course, the routine.
All right, so Michigan will have an exhibition. Audrey Sanger. You see the scores. Michigan at 49-325. Michigan State 49-125. This is exhibition. It will not count.
The full twisting Yurchenko for Audrey. Nice job. That's a very viable vault for the Wolverines to use if they ever want to take someone out of the lineup and play with the order, or God forbid something happened with illness or an injury. It's so nice to know that you have a deep bench of athletes who can step up when you need it.
Michigan State, Mike Rowe will also send up Kendall Abney for an exhibition. As we understand, Sage Kellerman with a big score for Michigan State in that anchor spot for Mike Rowe. Great crowd. I told you women's college gymnastics growing by the second, and what I meant by that is the attendance, both in person and on television. The numbers outstanding.
Massive release move for Kendall. A huge ray directly to a shoot over. The amplitude on that skill is excellent. Gorgeous pirouette work, so fast. And it was nearly stuck. Just again saw the chest come forward, but another incredibly useful routine for the Spartans. I most certainly do not want to be these coaching staffs having to make decisions on who's going in.
No, she will give Coach Rowe something to think about for sure. We are through one rotation. They'll switch. Michigan State will head to the vault. Michigan will head to the bars. You're watching the Big Ten Network. Right now, get 3 months of Big Ten Plus for just $5.99 a month with promo code SAVE26. That's SAVE26. You get access to hundreds of live Big Ten sporting events, full and condensed replays and highlights. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to BigTenPlus.com and make sure to enter SAVE26 when selecting a monthly pass at checkout to take advantage of this offer. We are off to a great start, one rotation.
Great work from both teams. We said this would be an exciting competition. They're only a half-tenth separated. The Michigan Wolverines on vault, well above their average on that event this season. And the Spartans, they've been struggling on the event, a 49.275, up 2+ tenths from their season average. I would say so far both teams are doing what they need to do.
Should stay close. Michigan 9th on the bars, Michigan State 12th on the vault. See them perform that when we return. Saturday, see more women's gymnastics live on Big Ten Plus when the Wolverines face Ohio State. Then next Sunday, the Spartans take on Penn State. Download the Big Ten Plus app today. It's always game on. And people are noticing, big-time crowd here at Chrysler Center. As you see some banners up there, a lot of those for women's gymnastics as the legend Bev Plotke stepping aside, but still will be around to touch the program. See the scores through one rotation, and here are the weekly awards in the conference, including some of those coming from that great crowd in East Lansing a week ago.
Well, we all enjoyed watching Jordan Childs shine on floor exercise. Another perfect 10 on the event, earning her 10th career Big Ten Gymnast of the Week. Sophia Diaz, 9.9 on 3 events last week in their competition versus Iowa. A very well-deserved honor for her. And Lacey Saltzman, the freshman on the Gopher squad, a 9.9 on bars, 9.875 on floor, taking the Freshman of the Week title.
Big-time score on the floor for Minnesota as they bounce back. What a performance from Jordan Childs, though, a week ago in front of that wonderful crowd. We'll talk a lot about the crowds throughout the season as we work our way to the Quad Fours and, of course, the Big Ten Women's Gymnastics Championships, which will be at Illinois this year. Looking forward to being with you for that. All right, here we go. Second rotation. Michigan State, they are 12th in the nation on the vault. Michigan, 9th in the nation on the bars. Katie Duplessis, who last week stuck her landing. You were there to see it.
And she stuck another one in the warm-up today, so definitely has the stick bug right now. Let's see if she can translate it. Katie competing at Yurchenko 1.5. Oh no. And a fall, unfortunately, on that vault. I must have announcer curse because I'm 2 for 2 right now on saying things and the opposite happening, but she just looked high on the table, which means she didn't get enough height in order to complete the vault, and that likely is part of the reason for sitting it down.
So here's Ava Jordan. Her score last week was a 9.825.
New spot in this lineup for Ava, competing as the leadoff performer. Her job is to set the tone for the remainder of the lineup. Nice first handstand. Big Jaeger release move, had to extend her arms to catch that bar. Nice bail handstand, leg separation when she caught the low bar. Those are those execution deductions the judges are watching for. A blind full into the double tuck and a stuck landing. Talk about a way to lead off a bar squad. She worked through that routine. Massive airtime on this release move, and then the dismount, capping it off to an undeniable stuck landing. Holds the 2 seconds, and the team is hype.
All right, remember, it's 6 up, 5 count, and this is some extra pressure for the freshman Marquardt out of Texas, as these last 5 gymnasts, they need to put up big scores for Michigan State to stay tight to Michigan.
Another Yurchenko 1.5 vault here for Corinne. Very good work. I don't even think she needed that step forward, but understandable given the circumstances with added pressure. The only underclassman in this lineup looked like she had a shoulder angle on the table, which could have resulted in a vault that was not done this way. There's that angle, and she finds the landing just a step forward. The judges will look at the positioning on the table, but they will also see that nearly perfect landing, just the step.
Here comes Lily Clapper with 3 straight sticks on the bar. She won the bars against Iowa. From Ann Arbor, Michigan, staying right home and enjoying wearing the maize and blue.
And Lily was heavily praised by head coach Miley for really working her way into this routine. Unfortunately, hit her feet on the bar in that first release move, but excellent job continuing through the routine.
Jordan with a new career high, by the way.
And the dismount, a little scooch. I wouldn't call it perfectly stuck, but the most impressive part of this routine for me was continuing through despite the early hit of her feet on the bar. But the height of that dismount is excellent, and the smallest movement on the landing. But that was gritty, well done.
Kayla Tucker last week with a 9.75, season high of a 9.825.
Third Yurchenko, 1.5 of the lineup. Good job. Again, they need to put these vaults on their feet to erase the fall from Katie in the first position. Kayla did stick one in warm-up. I didn't want to say anything until she landed. But again, just saw some softness on the table with her arm positioning, but she did a really good job of twisting quickly, staying tight in her core, and putting the vault to her feet.
Sophia Diaz, last week, 9.9. By the way, Michigan putting up their highest vault score of the season as they roll halfway through the bars.
Good first handstand for Sophia. Maloney release move to the bail handstand. I saw some leg separation on both the Maloney and the bail. Those are those execution deductions that they're trying to minimize. Winding up for a big dismount. Minor hop backward. The pure stick we saw from Ava Jordan in the leadoff position is what we're going for on these dismounts, but big wind up in speed. Stays on her feet. Little things here and there, but overall that routine is so solid.
We'll move back over to Nikki Smith for Michigan State. Her sister now graduated. This is the final season for Nikki. You know, her grandma is watching. Last week in front of the big crowd against the Bruins had a 9.825.
Nikki also competing at Yurchenko, 1.5, flared it open in that last half turn, had to take a step backward, but her air awareness is so impressive. The pop off the table is really nice, and see her open that arm, and her shoulders were just ever so slightly behind her hips, which is why she had to take the step backward.
So with just one step back, what's the deduction there as opposed to 2 steps back?
Well, it was backward, which means that that would be a 10th,
okay,
and also the under rotation. So they should deduct for both of those things, should being the operative word.
Well done, Olivia. As we move to Miley Liu, coming off a 9.75 for Michigan.
Miley with just such gorgeous lines on this event. Beautiful handstand control. Pack salto, leg separation in the pack from this angle. Reminder, the judges are sitting on the sides. They may not see it as clearly as we do, but they'd love a stick here. And movement with the right foot. It looked like the left stayed planted, but just a quick reaction there that resulted in a shift. But I'm loving the aggression I'm seeing in the windup to these dismounts. It's exactly what you want. You do not want to compete nervous. That was a really nice look at what the judges are seeing, so we can have eyes like they do.
Liu actually took home the uneven bars title at the 2024 American Classic as we get set for Olivia Zarmani, coming off a 9.875.
Olivia, one of those key competitors for the Spartans. Lovely Yurchenko, 1.5. She has one of the technically perfect vaults I've seen this season. Legs together, tight body, pointed toes, and loving this view. Exactly what the judges are seeing there. You see the position, small scoot backwards. So like Nikki, that is a little under rotated, but she did minimize as much as possible where we saw a step from Nikki previously.
I mentioned Michigan with a career high, or with a season high on the vault. Michigan State also had a season high on the bar. Sophie Parenti up next, coming off a 9.825 for the Wolverines.
Sophie was praised by head coach Miley Hermelin for coming into the gym this summer and saying, I want to do harder gymnastics, and learning this release move right there, a Ray release move. The height is just fantastic. Good job, a little shy of handstand on that half turn, but great control on the final handstand. Just the dismount for Sophie. A step back with that right foot. So again, not a perfect landing since what we saw early on, but check out the height on that release move. Caught a little close to the bar. We saw a slight bend in her arms. The judges are looking for that. And there's that dismount with the step backward. And I love to see her further back in the lineup and adding difficulty in her sophomore season.
Sage Kellerman up next, would love to repeat history. She had a 10 last year here at Chrysler for Michigan State. Last week had a 9.925.
Here's our look at a different vault entry, a front handspring, pike half, stuck. What Sage says happens, it seems. When we talked to her earlier this week, Dean, you mentioned it. I asked her, what are you excited about for this competition? She said, well, I got a 10 here last year, so maybe I'll do it again. And this is pretty close. Look at that perfect body position when she lands. The one thing on this vault is she's just a little low on the table on the takeoff, which minimizes distance from the table, but that's an undeniable stuck landing. And she goes into Spider-Man mode.
Yeah, for me, the complete package, a great gymnast, but also with the personality. She got a 9.975.
Incredibly well-deserved and critical after the fall in the leadoff.
So here comes Carly, who's having an excellent final season, coming off a 9.925. Carly, a year ago, was the individual regional champion on the bars. We have exhibition for Michigan State, Emma Meisenheimer, 9.75 career high. Give Coach Rose something to think about. Let's see how she does on the vault.
Another athlete who's been praised for her hard work in the offseason and this preseason, really pushing to make a lineup. Nice pop off the table on that vault. She just opened up early, kept her shoulders down, which resulted in the step forward and the under rotation. But I love the height, I love the amplitude. Just figuring out where she is to find the landing, and she's a viable option.
Second time up for exhibition, Audrey Sanger. Her career high on the bars is a 9.825.
Great job on that first handstand. Into the piked Jaeger. Good job in the air. The catch I saw, leg separation, but not in that pack salto. Legs were glued. Nice final handstand. Just the dismount for Audrey. Another big double layout with a step backward. The Wolverines really need to dial into these landings. The routines on the bar are lovely and dynamic and excellent, but they need to hone in on those landings.
Michigan State with season highs in their first two. Kellerman, beautiful landing in the season high for her. Michigan State, Michigan. It's going to be tight in Ann Arbor. The Big Show delivers highlights, post-game interviews, and complete analysis tonight at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Michigan now moving to the beam where they are 5th in the country. That includes week 1, setting a program record in their 50th season on the beam to open the season with a 49.65.
Before we get there, Michigan on bars, not their best rotation. They started off strong with Ava Jordan, but just couldn't find those landings on the last few routines. Michigan State really capitalizing after an uncharacteristic miss in the first spot by Katie Duplessis. Corinne Marcourt, well done bringing it back. And of course, kudos and flowers to Sage Kellerman, near perfection.
All right, great breakdown. I teased the beam a bit early, but Michigan's pretty good on the beam. Stick around for it. And Michigan State on the floor. Big-time crowd for Big Ten women's gymnastics through 2 rotations. A slim lead for the Spartans on the road, 98.7. Michigan at 98.45. As I mentioned previously, Michigan 5th in the nation on the beam, led by Kaylee Boozer. And of course, Nikki Smith has put up a 10 before on the floor. So 2 outstanding gymnasts.
And nothing below a 9.9 this season for Kaylee Boozer. Talk about consistency, so impressive on the event. And Nikki Smith, she will anchor the floor lineup for the Spartans. She has energy, she's dynamic, she's an incredible performer. The tumbling is out of control good. So incredible leaders in these rotations, but you can't be 5th in the country on an event because of one person. That takes an entire lineup, and so impressive by the Wolverines, as you mentioned, Dean, with that program record in week 1 of competition. The Spartans really playing with this floor lineup. Have Stephanie Lebster in the leadoff position. She was praised by her teammates this week when we spoke to them, saying she worked so hard to get into this position, came into the gym every day in the summer, worked so hard in preseason, and leading off. Love to see athletes rewarded for that hard work.
Mentioned it's a natural rivalry, Michigan and Michigan State, but now in gymnastics, with the turnaround that Mike Rowe has produced, it is really tight. And Michigan State has set season highs on their first 2 apparatus, trying to do it again as they move to the floor. We'll begin, though, with Sophie Parenti, who will be the leadoff for the Michigan Wolverines. If Michigan can somehow win, it'll be win number 1,030. Is that good?
I think.
That's pretty amazing. 8 regular season titles, 27 Big Ten championships, 1 NCAA title. 5 gymnastics have won individual titles for Michigan. 53 have won individual All-America titles for the Michigan Wolverines. A powerhouse in women's gymnastics. And here is Parenti with the leadoff, coming off a 9.775 a week ago.
We talked to head coach Miley Hermelin. She couldn't say enough positive things about Sophie. Said she's solid, thoughtful, really able to prioritize what's best for herself and the team when she's training and competing. Opening with her series, back handspring layout, step out, slightly off. You saw a minor balance check. She did a good job of maintaining her composure. Switch leap to split jump. Hit 180. The judges really want to see perfect split positions. Front aerial to a split jump. Solid connection. Just the dismount. Round off 1.5 twist to a step landing. That's what they've been looking for. We saw the stick from Ava Jordan in the leadoff position on bars, and then they didn't quite get the stick bug. Love this side view, exactly what the judges are seeing. And there, that foot came up a little bit on the front foot. She needed to keep it planted. But nothing wrong here. A round off 1.5, stayed super tight in her core, and that's a solid start.
Yeah, she'll get a score, I believe, better than last week's score of 9.775. And you already talked about Stephanie Lebster in the leadoff for Mike Rowe from Holland, Michigan.
Opening pass for Stephanie, combination, Rudy to a layout step out. We saw, I believe her foot did go out of bounds. That is a flat 1/10 deduction, if so.
Just kind of rocking out at Chrysler. for Michigan.
Second pass here, front double twist. Little extra juice, saw her hop forward, but great job staying in bounds. Her leap combination, a switch side with a half turn into a straddle jump. Good job performing those leaps right there at the end when the legs are tired. Here's a look at that first pass. Really nice job on the Rudy. The layout step out's massive, but it travels and actually looks like both feet are out of bounds. But I do believe that is regardless just 1/10 deduction. So not what they wanted in the leadoff position, but happy to have her competing.
Here's what the judges are looking for on the beam.
I mentioned earlier 180-degree split. That can be in a straddle position or a split. The judges want to see that hit perfectly. Body position on skills, straight arms, pointed toes, straight legs. Connection accuracy, maintain movement in between skills. That's been a point of contention lately. And of course, the stuck dismount.
Second to go for Michigan, Quincy Walters. We mentioned that new career high record in week 1. Well, Walters and Jordan to follow her both with 9.95s in that opener.
Her series, front toss into a back handspring. Good job with the connection. Those forward to backward skills. The judges are really watching for the continuous arm movement, no wobbles in between the connection. She did that very well. Impressive work, saw her off on the leap jump, but continued through to the switch half, stayed right on top of the beam. Just the dismount, a front full. So far, sticks are contagious. Great routine for Quincy Walters in the second spot for the Wolverines. Here's that connection. See the arms moving throughout. That's well done. Saw some tight legs there in the back handspring. And then the exclamation point, or the cherry on top, so to speak, the stuck landing and a big smile for the freshman.
Nice mix of elegance and power from Quincy Walters, who had a 9.725 last week. Here's what the judges are looking for on the floor.
Controlled lunge out of tumbling. If you're tumbling forward, a controlled lunge forward. Backward, a controlled lunge backward. Heightened amplitude of all skills. Leaps, jumps, tumbling, leap precision. Judges have really been cracking down on where you begin the leap and where you finish the leap. And then, of course, showing 180-degree split.
Lilia Kalsman, second to go for the Spartans on the floor.
Opening pass for Lilia. A 2.5 twist to a punch front. Stays in bounds. Was flirting with the line, but great awareness.
Thought a decent first pass there.
Leap combination, good job precisely taking off in the perfect position and completing the twist.
She's a member of the Romanian national team.
Second pass, 1.5 to a front full, into a shimmy. I wonder if that's an additional bonus. It's not, but I just enjoyed it. Very difficult double wolf turn at the end of the routine when the quads are on fire. And a difficult skill gives her a bonus toward her start value to make sure she has all the difficulty she needs. Very tough to balance. stay squared, especially after a minute and 30 seconds of constant movement.
Back to the beam we go, and Ava Jordan coming off a 9.725.
Next up on beam for Michigan, Ava Jordan.
Ava began her season with a career-high 9.95 at their first competition. So she is capable of near perfection. Gorgeous side aerial to a back handspring. Incredibly difficult combination. Beat jump to a straddle half. Great job hitting 180 degrees and solid on top of the beam. There's the full turn, a requirement for all athletes on balance beam. Rock solid front toss. This has looked incredibly confident and solid so far. Just her dismount. Competes a gainer pike. Let's see if she caught the stick bug alongside her teammates. Not quite. A hop backward on the landing, but a really great routine for Ava Jordan. After that 9.925 on uneven bars, comes back here. Hop backwards, so a little over-rotated. The judges will deduct for that as well as the movement of the feet. But solid work.
Halfway through on the beam as we go to the third up for Michigan State on the floor. Katie Duplessis last week against UCLA had a 9.775.
This opening pass from Katie is a personal favorite of mine. The full twisting double pike, humongous. And there's that controlled lunge, kept the front foot planted, lunged backwards, great job.
Jordan in with a 9.875 for Michigan.
Leap combination, a switch side half to a straddle jump, slightly under-rotated on the switch side into the half. Those are those precise positions the judges are watching for. So they could deduct for under-rotation on that skill. Final pass, combination 1.5 to a front layout. Nice work, a little extra power there at the end. It wasn't as controlled on the landing as the first pass, but an important routine for Katie. After that miss on vault, it's awesome to see her come back and crush a floor routine. This pass is special, really big height, grabs the legs, some flexed feet, but the lunge backward is perfectly controlled. Good job for Katie.
So Duplessis will await her score as we'll get you set for Carly Ballman. Coming off a 9.875.
Next up on beam for Michigan, Carly Ballman.
She has scored a 9.9 or better on 50 career routines. What a career. Back-to-back first-team All-Big Tenner.
50 is crazy. Nice full turn. I love how Carly works beam. So aggressive and comfortable on the apparatus. Back handspring layout, step out. No movement.
It's like we're all watching, but she's in her zone.
Perfect job on those jumps. Such a cool skill. Straight leg side summy. I don't know if I've ever seen someone else besides Carly compete that skill. It's a treat that we get to see it. Just her dismount. Same dismount as Ava Jordan, a gainer pike. Shuffled forward. She struggled with finding that perfect landing on the dismount. Everything on the beam was solid. I saw no errors, truly. Here's that back handspring layout, step out. Arms all the way back, stays on top of the beam. And this skill is just special. Side summy with straight legs. Does it like she's on the floor. Here's a look at that dismount. Gainer pike, shoulders were just forward. Saw her toes do a lynchworm forwards, but great job for Carly. Love watching her compete.
Gabby Ortiz coming off a 9.775 by way of Tampa. Up next for the Spartans.
Speaking of loving to watch someone compete, Gabby is a blast on floor exercise. And she can tumble. Full twisting double tuck. Good job staying in bounds. Definitely had some extra juice.
9-9 for Carly. And of course, Michigan State finally seeing Gabby Stephen and Skylar Schulte graduate, but
it's that combination pass, front through into a double tuck. I absolutely love how she sets for that double tuck. And that was a controlled landing.
I get that all the teammates love each other, but you can tell they especially love Gabby.
Nice job on the leaves. We had a great view there of where her feet began and ended in the jump combinations. That was one of her best routines I've seen her compete. So happy to have her in the lineup. She brings energy, she brings power. Great execution. And she's certainly fun to watch. She takes off there and then perfect job starting the straddle full and ending it in the same position. That is really honing in on the details, and that's what you need to do to separate from great to excellent.
See Carly with the 9.9 as Cesara Ranger coming up a 9.725 in the 5th spot for Michigan. Gabby Ortiz with a new career high.
Cesara brings the difficulty in this routine, and you'll see it here. Triple series, back handspring, layout step out to a layout step out. No big deal for her.
That's ridiculous.
Switch leap to a pike jump. Needed to get her toes up a little bit more on the pike jump. That front toss was gorgeous. The way she landed upright, incredibly impressive. But if you want to be impressed, check this out. Round off, double tuck, step backward, but I cannot express enough how difficult that dismount is. She makes it look so easy. Truly, that whole routine she made look easy. But this was the highlight. Back handspring, layout, layout. Little softness in that back leg. The judges are looking for perfect straight legs. And the double tuck in the air was lovely. And just the step backward. So minimal deductions on the beam. And that step really was the only glaring deduction I saw.
Carly and Cesara outstanding as we move to Kayla Tucker. Last 3 times up, Tucker with a 9.925. Pretty consistent in that 5th spot.
Opening pass for Kayla. Rudy to a layout step out. Perfect landing.
Phenomenal lines. You see Ranger with the 9.875.
Second and final pass, a front double twist. Difficult element to do later in the routine. A lot of athletes perform that first. Impressive to see it as her final tumbling pass. There's those leaps. Switch half into a straddle full. A great routine for Kayla. Pretty much a carbon copy of what she did last weekend that earned her a new career high of a 9.925. We'll see what the judges do. But this pass is great. A Rudy punches into the layout step out. She has gorgeous long legs. Makes for a beautiful layout step out photo in the air.
Only one score so far in this third rotation that's been under a 9.8 as we move to Kaylee Boozer, who truly is the closer. 3 straight beam titles for Kaylee Boozer, the anchor for the Wolverines.
Kaylee is so elegant on balance beam, comfortable on the event. Just pristine on those jumps. Each jump so precise. Front aerial a little bit off, but good job of really minimizing the deductions. Just a slight step forward.
Normally we're a bundle of nerves on the beam. Michigan makes you relaxed.
Big sigh of relief after that back handspring layout step out. The amplitude was lovely. Just the dismount here. She can get some big height. Back handspring gainer full. Holds that landing. Gorgeous routine. Check this out. The split, the switch split. Just then the straddle. It looked like her back leg on the standing switch split needed to go up a little bit, but we're watching in slow motion. And the gainer full, precise, finds the landing, holds it. She is the true definition of a beamer.
Beam queen indeed. Kaylee Boozer in the anchor spot for Michigan. Speaking of anchor spots, Nikki Smith, who I mentioned has put up a 10 before on the floor. She's last to go for Michigan State.
Next up on floor for Michigan State, Nikki Smith.
Big opening pass, a full twisting double tuck. Huge and great control. beautiful straddle positions, both well above 180 degrees. Final pass for Nikki, her combination front through to a double tuck. Again, great control. Both tumbling passes showed perfect control and balance. The leaps were great. She just continues to put together elite floor routines week in and week out. Combination, a lot of athletes do this at the beginning. Nikki at the end looks easy for her and hugs all around. Well deserved.
Great amplitude. Michigan State with a season high on bars, a season high on vault. We'll see if they can run one down on the floor. A couple exhibitions for both teams. Peyton Davis with a career high of 9.675. Exhibition on the beam for Michigan.
Peyton praised by head coach Miley Hermelin, saying she just looks so solid on balance beam. Worked incredibly hard this summer, reworked some of her skills, and is really knocking at the door to be in that lineup. You're seeing that so far here. Nice job on the full turn. Nice job. Switch leap to a pike jump. One of my favorite skills. We saw one from her and her teammate, Jazara Ranger. Back handspring gainer, full dismount. The little scooch on the landing, but if I'm Michigan, I am incredibly impressed by the depth I'm seeing in some of these exhibition routines, and Peyton Davis making a name for herself to get a chance in the beam lineup.
Just amazing when you consider they're fifth in the country in all those routines. Outstanding exhibition for Michigan State. From Durham, North Carolina, Emma Meisenheimer.
Emma opening up the full twisting double tuck. Chest low on the landing, which resulted in the step forward. Just needed to bring her chest up and her shoulders a little bit more in order to maintain her center of balance for a zero deduction landing. Good job on her leaps. Emma's been working incredibly hard on floor exercise. Coaches have been so impressed with how she's pushed herself. Final pass, 1.5 to a front layout. And another great routine for the Spartans that could most certainly go in the lineup.
Michigan State with a lead through 3 rotations. Michigan's Kaylee Boozer with a 9.9 on the beam, and Nikki Smith with a season high 9.95. Final rotation when we return. It's a huge Saturday night hockey 1 versus 2 showdown when the Spartans and Wolverines face off in Detroit. Live coverage begins at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. We got a tight one in Ann Arbor. Michigan State 3 rotations, 3 season highs as we take a look at the results of the 3rd rotation.
Kudos to the Wolverines, and massive work by Kaylee Boozer there, keeping her streak alive of not going below a 9.9 on balance beam. And floor exercise a little off from Stephanie Lebster in the beginning, but nothing but power from Katie Duplessis all the way down to Nikki Smith with that 9.95. Great job by that entire floor squad.
It'll be decided in the final rotation where Michigan State hits the beam. They're 10th in the country. Michigan on the floor, 18th in the country. And we'll hit that around the corner. Coming up, women's hoops. The 11th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes host Nebraska. That's next on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Michigan State with a slim lead as we head to the final rotation. That'll put the Spartans on the beam and Michigan on the floor.
It's a close competition, and we have two athletes, some of the best, competing in this one. Nikki Smith with a high this season of a 9.925. Carly Bowman, 9.95 high this year on floor exercise last weekend. So momentum is building for both of these teams, but anything can happen. It's gymnastics. Michigan State finishing on balance beam, and Michigan at home finishing on floor exercise. So 3/10 might seem like a lot, but it can come and go pretty quickly.
All six for Michigan on the floor, solid, but their final three, Sophia, Carly, and Jazara, it is a party with those three to wrap things up on the floor at home. The Chrysler Center, home to the Michigan Wolverines. It will be Kendall Abney, though, getting things started on the beam. Remember, Michigan State 10th in the nation, so they're not too shabby either. As you see some Spartan fans mixed in with Michigan fans, the crowd, awesome.
And Michigan State is incredibly happy to have Olivia Zarmani back in the beam lineup. This will be her season debut on the event. That's been a big focus and goal for the team to have her back in the all-around, and this is a step in that direction. So we're seeing a little bit of a different Michigan State beam lineup with the addition of Olivia back in. Kendall Abney leading off, which is new from the last couple of weeks. Well, Michigan State's beam lineup is elite, so anything can happen.
Great shot of the Michigan State Spartans huddle. Great work by our Big Ten Network crew at the Chrysler Center in Ann Arbor, Michigan, on the campus of the University of Michigan. It will be Michigan State first to go. As you see, it's Abby Tucker, Zarmani in the lineup, Smith, Frostel, and Cosman. Some final words of encouragement for Kendall Abney. Were you big on the coaches talking to you right before you got on the beam, Olivia?
Yes, but I didn't want to talk about gymnastics. A lot of times I wanted to talk about shoes.
Okay, that works. You do have a nice shoes collection.
Thank you, I've worked hard. Kendall Abney, first time leading off on balance beam. Talked to Associate Head Coach Nicole Curler-Jones, said that Kendall has been so solid in practice. And right there you see just that. Very difficult double wolf turn. Right off the bat, bringing the difficulty. Back handspring layout, step out series, perfectly square.
Spartans just saw Michigan go above their season average with a 49.425 on the beam.
Good work, switch leap into a leap. Nice job showing her split positions. So far, so good for Kendall in her lead-off campaign. See if she can finish it off with a stuck landing. Here's her dismount, side aerial to a tuck 1.5. And a stuck landing.
Great start for Michigan State, trying to make it 4 for 4 with season highs.
Beautiful job on that dismount. A little bit of cross in the feet at her ankles. So that's slight deduction the judges could take, but incredibly impressive routine that I would want as my leadoff if I was Nicole Curler-Jones.
Leadoff for Michigan, the sophomore Audrey Sanger, coming off a last week score of 9.825.
Opening pass for Audrey. Big double pike. Nice job. Slightly over-rotated, but good job minimizing the deductions. Beautiful leaps. Over 180-degree split on the switch half. And then 2 wolf fulls. Final pass for Audrey. Combination, 1.5 to a front layout. Good control on the step forward. Another double wolf turn there at the end of the routine. Good job by Audrey Sanger. These were just lovely. Look at that split position. Just a little over on the wolf fulls. She needed to do a perfect 360-degree twist, but the final pass there controlled 1.5 to a front layout. Solid start.
That'll bring us back to Michigan State's Kayla Tucker. 9.875 last week. The only all-arounders coming from Michigan State, and Tucker just behind her teammate Nikki Smith. Kayla Tucker on the floor for Spartyland. On the beam, rather. I apologize.
Opening combination, cat leap into a front aerial and back handspring. She was off on that back handspring and just had to do a step backward. It was well done in minimizing as many deductions as possible.
Sanger tying her career high.
Side aerial. Remain very tight in her core to maintain perfect landing. Just the dismount, gator full, to a stick. I'm always so impressed by Kayla Tucker with her gymnastics, but also this Michigan State team is having a ball with their celebrations. Finds the landing, holds for 2 seconds, and well-deserved celebration.
Yeah, you think back 5-6 years ago, Michigan would dominate Michigan State. Those days are over as all the teams getting better and better. Up next from Michigan, Quincy Walters, last week with a 9.85.
Quincy Walters.
Opening pass, a front double twist. Solid. I did see her step on the line. That should not be a deduction if it was only on the line. Over would be a deduction. I didn't see a flag go up, so she should be in the clear.
Big Ten Freshman of the Week just a couple of weeks ago.
Final pass combination. 1.5 to a front full. Both passes incredibly solid. Air awareness was great. Knew where she was. Competing, most certainly not like a freshman, competing like a veteran. Quincy Walters looking so solid for the Wolverines. This combination pass, so well done. You saw that second salto, looked great. Wow, good job.
Hugs for Quincy, and you talked about it. Olivia Zarmani has not been on the beam this year. She can put up big scores, though, with a career high of 9.925.
Front toss into a back handspring series. Solid. I wonder what the judges are going to do, as her arms weren't continuously moving. So we'll see if they identify that as a connection.
Quincy with a new career high for Michigan.
Beautiful job. Cat leap into a side, switch side. Split positions are lovely. Just the dismount for Olivia. Round off 1.5 twist. To a stick with a little bobble of the chest. First routine of the 2026 season. She can put a check mark next to it. But here's that connection. Her arms were moving. I wonder if the judges will think it wasn't quick enough between the two elements. But those feet did not move on the landing, just the chest down.
Yeah, she did a good job holding it. And you're right, when she was moving her arms, she almost made it feel like it was part of her routine. So Sophie Parenti last week with a 9.825 in the third spot for Michigan. Michigan seeing the legendary Bev Plotke step aside. She's still around the program, and what a legacy she leaves behind.
Opening pass for Sophie. Double pike. Good job keeping her front foot down. Controlled lunge.
Quincy Walters with a 9.95 for Sophie. Zarmani, by the way, with a 9.9 to follow Tucker's 9.9 on the beam for the Spartans.
Second and final pass for Sophie. Her combination, a 1.5 to a front full. It looks like she did step out of bounds, so that will be a flat 1/10 deduction on top of the final score. Overall, a great routine. Just that last pass is where a majority of the deduction will come from. The 1.5 was really nice. You just didn't get as much rise as usual on the front full. And while it looked minimal, that is a step out of bounds.
So halfway through, Michigan State on the beam, Michigan on the floor. Up next, Nikki Smith for the Spartans from West Bloomfield, Michigan.
First test, back handspring layout step out. Good job. I noticed a little stutter of her feet in between those two elements. But great work staying on the beam, minimizing the deduction. Very nice jump combination, beautiful straddle position.
Renty in with a 9.775, so that little step out of bounds did cost her.
We saw a double tuck from Jazara Ranger. Last rotation, Nikki Smith answers with a double tuck of her own to a stick. She has been on fire with that landing. Stuck last weekend against UCLA in their home opener. Stuck in week 1. Here was really the only deduction. You see her chest move over to the right, but the double tuck was truly the cherry on top. That was beautiful. She's just uncanny with finding that landing.
All right, we mentioned the final 3 for Michigan on the floor, all with career highs of 9.9 or better, including the sophomore Sophia Diaz up for Michigan.
Sophia Diaz!
Opening pass for Sophia. Front double full. Love the dance choreography out of the tumbling pass to minimize any potential over rotation.
Smith with a 9.85, so the door opening up here for Michigan.
Final pass for Sophia, her combination. Rudy, layout, step out, missed the punch between the Rudy and the layout. Notice that that second salto just much lower than usual. But impressive work, continuing to perform and dance throughout the routine. Take a look here at her tumbling. Here's that first pass, the front double twist. Really nice job, right into the kick in the choreography. The second pass, likely where the deduction will mainly come from. See the knees bent in between the Rudy and the layout. So she didn't get as much pop as you might normally see. And the judges do deduct for those types of things, but I love how she maintained her composure and finished the routine solid.
Isabella Trossel, a junior from Westerville, Ohio, on the beam for the Spartans.
Isabella Biz, as they call her, new to the balance beam lineup this year after 2 years of battling injuries. Nice job on her switch leap to a straddle jump. This is where she had an issue last week. The Anodi goes into the beat jump, no problems this week. Really nice connection.
Score last week a 9-1.
Series back handspring, gainer full, absolutely solid. Saw a little smile from her there. I love it when the athletes can take a deep breath. Just her dismount, back handspring, gainer full. Doesn't move the feet, but does go up on her toes to hold her balance. So while the feet didn't move, the judges will deduct for the chest low. This is a great view here to see exactly what happened. Nice height on the gainer full, and just see how her legs straighten. She goes up on her toes. But so important to have a solid routine after the fall last week.
And that'll lead us to Carly Bauman, who set her career high, season high, and her last week high of a 9.95.
Next up on floor for Michigan, Carly Bauman.
Opening pass for Carly. Front double full. Excellent control. Great precision on her leap combination. Final pass for the 6th-year senior. Combination, 1.5 to a front layout. Beautiful job. I continue to be impressed by Carly every time she competes. 6 years in college, and she looks like she's a freshman with how athletic and on top of it she is. It's so impressive. 1.5 to a front layout. Shows no signs of slowing down. Well done.
We'll wait the score for Carly as Lilia Kosman. A 9.9 last week, setting her career high.
Last week was incredibly important for her confidence. Had to hit a routine after a fall from Biz Trostel. Talked to Biz and Sage Kellerman earlier this week. They told me when I asked, were you nervous about Lilia going after the fall? They said, nope, not at all. We know she can do it. And that's exactly what she did and is doing right now.
Look how close it is as we're in the anchor spot for both teams.
Switch leap to a swing down. One of my favorite combinations. So elegant. Dismount for Lilia, round off 1.5 twist, to a stuck landing, and a death drop. She is an athlete, the pure focus that she showed throughout that routine. So impressive, beautiful execution on the dismount. That foot looked like it wanted to move, but she did death drop, had to, after a mic drop of a beam routine.
You know it. And we will see if that is going to be enough for Michigan State to come into Ann Arbor and get the win. Ranger with a 9.725 a week ago. Season high of 9.775. And as you saw right there, capable of big scores.
This routine is such a treat. This opening pass. Big double layout. Absolute money. Beautiful position on the leaps.
With the 9.85, we can tell you Michigan State with season highs on all 4 rotations. Impressive.
Incredibly impressive. Final pass for Jazara. Her combination, a front layout through, double tuck step. I don't know, Dean. I didn't see much wrong with that routine. It was lovely.
She is dynamite.
Jazara truly is the full package. This is awesome. Front layout through, sets high, double tuck. Chest is in the perfect position, shows control. Wow. Impressive conclusion to her competition.
Power and control, Olivia Karras.
That is the magic combination.
We will go to an exhibition as it looks like Michigan State's going to do it. Emma Meisenheimer, exhibition on the beam for Coach Rowe, has a career high of 9.85. Nobody leaving the Chrysler.
Beautiful full turn for Emma. We've seen her in exhibition in 3 events. Really impressive, knocking at the door. Combination, back handspring, layout, step out, stands up tall at the end, solid work. Nice jump combination. The dismount, back handspring, gainer full. Step back on the landing, but Emma is really making it hard for these coaches. She's showing up on all events in the exhibition spot. So impressive.
Michigan will also have an exhibition to close things out. It'll be Peyton Davis, who last week had a 9.775. She can put on a show, folks. She's got a career high of 9.9. And it is worth the watch.
Opening pass, connection, front lay to a Rudy. Nice job.
Remember, Olivia, she had that 9.9 last year at the Big Ten Championships for the Wolverines.
Nice job on those jumps. Very precise, beautiful positions. finishes it up with a double pike. Beautiful work. I've said it a lot today, but these exhibition routines are so critical for the coaches to see what their bench can do, and the bench has showed up today on both sides. Very impressive.
Speaking of showing up, Michigan State with season highs on all 4 rotations, and they come into Ann Arbor and get a win against Michigan. The rivalry is indeed on, as Michigan State with a 197.525, a slim win and a great competition against Michigan. We'll be back to wrap it up right here on the Big Ten Network. In front of yet another impressive crowd in Ann Arbor, the Chrysler Center, it's the Michigan State Spartans knocking off Michigan with a 197.525, a big road win for Michigan State, knocking off your Wolverines.
And Kayla Tucker was a bright light. First season doing the all-around. She showed up. Amazing work on all 4 events. Floor routine, one of my favorites. Solid as a rock on balance beam, finding that stuck landing and getting a win in the all-around, helping her team to a massive road win.
Showing the moxie as well. And yes, we do want to get to the fact that you won the all-around, but guess what? Michigan State has done it again. They defeated Michigan. What does that mean to you and the team?
I mean, it's just super exciting. I mean, I know that we could come out here and get the job done, and we did, so I'm super excited for us.
Kayla, what was the team's mindset this week and pre-meet coming into Ann Arbor? What were you guys thinking about coming into this weekend?
Just going out there and like doing what we know how to do. We do it every day in the gym and just putting all the pieces together and just having fun. That's when we do our best, is having so much fun.
For me, the beam can never be fun because, you know, you're standing up there and so nervy, but you make it fun, and that's where you truly showed your moxie. What made your performance on the beam so special tonight?
I feel like just being sharp and getting up there at the last event, you know, just bringing it all home.
You have a lot of newbies in these lineups, yourself included, in the all-around. Who are you impressed by on your team who showed up so far this season?
Ooh, I'd have to say Nikki Smith and Olivia Zarmani.
Last thing I want to tell you to get your reaction, all 4 rotations, season highs for Michigan State. Your response?
I'm just so excited. I've been working hard in the gym, so being able to show that tonight is super exciting.
Well, congrats on the all-around, and I know you're going to tell me just as even more important, congrats on the win over Michigan, and thanks for joining us here on the Big Ten Network.
Thank you. Go Green.
All right, the all-arounder and a key part of a big win for Michigan State, and it was really tight. You know that when these 2 teams meet again, it's going to go down to the wire.
And take a look at how close it was. Michigan on floor exercise, a new career high for Carly, 9.975 in her 6th year. Impressive. And Jazara Ranger putting on a show there at the end. Can't forget Quincy Walters, another new career high, 9.95. But it was all green in this final rotation, getting the win. 2 9.9s from Kayla and Miss Zarmani back in the lineup. So thrilled to have her on the event. And Nikki, Biz, and Lilia finishing off with 3 9.85, solid and consistent to give them the road win.
Really tight meet, but in the end, Michigan State with season highs in all 4 apparatus. We're going to take a break and be back to wrap it up from the Chrysler Center in Ann Arbor. Great coverage of Big Ten women's gymnastics on the Big Ten Network, and a great meet. Michigan State with a slim win over their rivals from Ann Arbor, and it's Michigan State getting the win. Dean Linke along with Olivia Karras, and just another great example of how competitive this conference is.
What a great competition. We said at the top of the show, both teams wanted the win, of course, but they want that score to head into their averages, their NQS, their seeding, and this was a huge success for both teams. So excited, and the level of difficulty in the Big Ten Conference continues to grow.
Michigan State with 4 season highs, incredible as well.
I was so impressed specifically with them on balance beam. The meet on the line right there at the end. They're dialing in on the landings, and this meet came down to landings. We saw Michigan not really getting those landings early on in bars. Michigan State coming up with Stuck Central over on balance beam, and that's what it is. It comes down to those tenths, those sticks, and that's what determines competitions.
It's going to be a great year of coverage with 8 teams in the top 25. Let's take a look at the weekend results.
Big win for UCLA, getting over a 198. That's an average of a 9.9 for every routine. Kudos to them. Minnesota with a big win at home, 197.05. Excellent work. Some great stuck landings for them yesterday. Maryland, the Terps, with a road win of a 196.275. The Buckeyes have been putting on a show over. Great work for them. And Penn State, 196.375, coming off of a massive weekend of a 197 plus last week, their 3rd highest score in program history, and you saw it here right now. Michigan State just edging out the Wolverines by 1/10. You know what 1/10 is? That's a step, and that's what gymnastics comes down to.
Wow, Minnesota, nice bounce back win. And you talked about the Buckeyes, undefeated so far in the Big Ten, as is UCLA and Penn State.
Kudos to both Penn State and Ohio State. There's a lot of UCLA chatter, but both of those programs flying under the radar a little bit. But you see there, 3-0. Massive congrats to them. Michigan and Michigan State now 1 and 2 respectively. Need to make it up a little bit here in some of those dual meets coming up. Illinois and Rutgers 0-3, but there's still a lot of conference play to happen. Excited for more exciting matchups, to see these teams get great scores, head-to-head wins, and see a lot more exciting gymnastics.
Kayla Tucker, the all-around winner for Michigan State, helping the Spartans get their big win over Michigan. All right, what a day. As that's going to wrap it up from the Chrysler Center, home to the Michigan Wolverines, where Michigan State gets that slim win over Michigan. Coming up next, it's the women's hoops action with Nebraska and Ohio State. That'll be after the break. Saying good night from Ann Arbor. Congratulations to Michigan State with a big win over the Wolverines.